exercise will be the arm screw. So if we think about daily event, especially if you're from Quebec and there's winter, and you see people falling all the time. We all had an experience where we went to fall to the ground, we reach our arm, and we at least all probably hurt our wrist, if not also our elbow from all the impact coming up. Or even, oftentimes when people are sitting on the ground and they need to get up fast, they will reach with their arm and hands everywhere in a way that is very highly risky for their body and their arms. Especially again if we're in a situation where there's multiple attacker, people running everywhere, and you're trying to stand up in a flat hand, in a straight arm, and someone is suddenly putting their weight on you, it's all gonna go on your arms, in your elbow, and in your wrist. So the arm screw is basically to prevent these type of injuries. So what is really important here is that first off, you do not want to have your hand flat on the ground. You want to have a little space. So mainly you want the palm, the L palm, to touch the floor and the tip of your finger. And from there, you want to have, again, it's a sequence motion, like a wave. So you're here, you're starting with your palm, and you're slowly turning to the meat side of your hand. And here, what is very important is when you get more towards the elbow, you want to screw the elbow in to not end up knocking your elbow on the ground. It's very important then when you will do that motion, again, you fall on the meat side. And the reverse is the same principle. So from here, if you start down, even if there's an impact, as long as you keep thinking about just having your hand a bit more relaxed, and then you're screwing, you fall here, and then it's the same reverse motion to stand up. So you go up, and it's very important, the twisting here. So a first easy and safe way to practice the arm screw is to do it from a cobra position. So just like with the combat cradle, it's very important that we do the spinal check. So here again, you want to engage your pelvic arch. So you will see a huge difference in the contact that it has with your leg on the floor, but also already a difference in your abdominal. And then obviously that's when you start engaging your lumbar arch. So even more, your spine is gonna get a bit straighter, and already you should feel the difference in your neck. And finally, you're gonna bring your chin a bit closer to your chest and bring the crown of your head in a way that you have a perfect line. From here, you want to lift to give yourself a bit of a challenge. And again, make sure that your hands are not flat on the ground. So an easy way to make sure that you're not locking out your elbow is to be able to tap the tip of your finger on the ground. So it's ensure that the palm of your hand is not straight on the ground. And from here, again, you just want to make sure that you do the rotation from the meat of your hand. And then from here, you screw your elbow in without touching the floor. And then you can safely fall into it. Same thing coming back. And it's very important, every time, if needed be, Don't be shy to just readjust your old posture. And then you can start again. So here, once you've put a bit of weight on your arm screw, you can now start considering a self-defense application to it. So again, if we go back to the ground directly, when we are in our combat cradle, especially if at first you have this reflex to want to reach for your opponent, for example, if they're hitting you, oftentimes people are going to want to reach. But it's very important here to focus on shielding your head. So the motion of the arm screw here is basically the same. You are reaching out first, and then you have this 3D motion with your hands that you're bringing to protect your head. And you can go from reaching to going back. And even more important here is that once you have this opportunity to stand up again from that position with your circular setup, you can now start considering standing up with your arm screw. And here, instead of just trying to lift up, either with your elbow or with your abdominal, this is where you just give yourself a chance to put a bit more weight on your head and arm until you're able to do again that rotational motion on your end. And this is where you're able to lift yourself much more easily because the weight is basically being shared by a different group of muscles. Our body has many various reflexes. So for example, when dust gets into our eyes, it automatically closes. When our head is stuck underwater, our throat automatically closes too. We don't even have to think about it. Just as much as in some defensive reflex, when we're scared, when we're shocked, oftentimes not only our arms are gonna come up, but they're also going to be reaching. And you need to understand that although most of these reflexes are actually essential and important to our survival, some of them, especially in these self-defense contexts, are not necessarily the best for us to protect ourselves. So when you think about that situation where you're on the ground and someone is on top of you, hitting you, reaching up for their arms is not the best way to protect yourself. However, you can integrate that grasp motion and reaching motion from the inside. So instead of grabbing outside, you're reaching your own head. The grasp reflex is basically a way for the body to not only locate, but also stop a threat from reaching us. However, you need to understand by reaching and trying to grasp that threat, you're leaving your arms, your head, your neck, and basically your whole body exposed. So instead, the arm screw motion will give you the occasion to make the best out of that grasp reflex by, instead of reaching out, going back into you. So you're making yourself a smaller target, you're reducing the chance of hurting your arms, but more importantly, you're protecting your head, which should be your main priority at all times. So while I can't get rid of negative reflex, I can definitely make them work out for me. So now again, let's add it to our fitness routine. So again, if you start into a start, to the comeback cradle, where we'll go first to reaching out our hands, to then having that habit of bringing back inside. Afterwards, we can move into our circle setup. Then from the side, go here. First arm screw. Then our second arm screw. And then our